In this video, we will go through a flexibility routine which includes the use of a foam roller. If you do not possess a foam roller, feel free to ignore the exercises that require one and continue with the stretches. It is important to note that all stretches are preceded with foam rolling in the same area of the body to help reduce knots, warm up and increase the stretch. This tutorial will work from the bottom to the top of the body. First is the calf roll. As with every foam roll, start by rolling along the length of the entire muscle. Once warm, you may find small lumps which are actually myofascial trigger points, often referred to as muscle knots, which tend to exhibit pain, and you should concentrate rolling in these areas. The instructor moves his toes back and forth to help aid in the breakdown of superficial myofascial adhesions, and it is important to keep an eye on small movements like these throughout the video. This is followed by an ankle hook stretch. Place one foot behind the heel of the stretching leg. It is important to note that each stretch should last at least 30 seconds, and rolling on each muscle should last at least 1 to 2 minutes. You work on both sides of the body and you remain as relaxed as possible. Next is a tibialis stretch. Adopt the kneeling position and lean back, placing your hands and your fingers pointing behind you. Adopt the hamstring roll, applying a similar position to the calf roll. When rolling, place as much pressure to the muscle as you can handle by lifting and increasing the amount of body weight you apply to that area. This is followed by a sprinter 90-90 stretch. Stand up, taking a large step forward and lean forwards, placing the hands either side of the front foot, keeping the leg as straight as possible. Adjust to the prone position and roll the quads. Use the elbows and toes whilst rotating the legs to ensure you encapsulate the entire muscle group. Once concentrated on a knot, lift the lower leg and perform backwards and forwards momentum to help with the breakdown of superficial myofascial adhesions. This is followed by a couch stretch. Adopt a single leg kneeling position, lifting the foot of the rear leg and folding it behind you whilst maintaining an upright position. Next is the iliotibial band, otherwise known as ITB, roll. This area and the hip flexors usually do not receive the required stretching they need and are used extensively during military training. Adopt the side plank position and apply as much pressure as you can to the entire area. This is followed by a sit with a reach stretching exercise. Sit down with one leg tucked behind you and the other curled in front, with the shin placed horizontally in front of you. Then lean towards the knee, predominantly stretching the hip flexor. Roll the glutes sitting and leaning to one side whilst using the opposite hand to foot for ground contact and movement. On completion, conduct a figure of 4 glute stretch by laying and pulling one leg whilst the foot of the opposite leg is hooked over the knee. Working our way up the body, Adopt a semi-crunch position, leaning to one side on the foam roller. With the knees bent, use the legs to roll the lower back. This is followed by a supine leg overstretch, allowing one leg to fall to the opposite side whilst laying straight with the arms out to the sides. This is followed with a knee overstretch into a pretzel stretch by bending one knee at a time, finishing with the arms assisting with increasing the stretch. Next is the cat-camel stretch, flexing and extending the spine whilst on your hands and knees. Once complete, place one arm through the gap between the opposite arm and leg whilst sitting back to conduct a T-spine heel sit and reach. In a similar position, raise the backside, place one hand behind your head and rotate the body and elbow to perform a quadruped thoracic spine rotation stretch. Next, lean onto the roller with the latissimus dorsi, otherwise known as lat, of one side of the body. Bend the knee of the opposite legs, planting the foot into the floor and use for movement. This is followed by a child's pose. Whilst in a kneeling position, leaning forwards with the arms straight and walking the fingers to extend the stretch. To roll the chest, lean onto the roller in the prone position, holding one arm out to the side and moving the roller left and right. This is followed by the military branch stretch, placing the backs of your hands on the lower back and pulling the elbows to the rear whilst standing straight, feet shoulder width apart. Next is the bicep roll, followed by the tricep roll whilst in the prone position. Use the waist and knees to roll these areas respectively. Conduct a tricep stretch, placing one arm behind the head and pulling on the elbow with the opposite hand whilst standing. Conduct a shoulder stretch, placing the arm across the chest whilst pulling towards you with the forearm of the opposite arm. Next, stretch the neck, tilting to the left and right using the opposite hand to pull and assist with the stretch. Finally, cup both hands behind the head and pull forwards whilst maintaining an upright position with the remainder of the body. This routine mimics the routine we conduct through officer candidate school training and is worth learning.